right there is the main lesson right here we're working with. Now, what's going to end up happening when I let y'all work on your own is you're going to see problems that look a lot scarier and look whatever else. But if you follow just those simple steps, and again, the absolute value of the entire function, look below the x-axis, bounce, reflect over, and then erase. Make sure that's written down because we're moving on to the next problem, and that's going to be where y'all work by yourselves. And I'm going to come around making sure you can do it. Got it? Any questions? Y'all sure? All right. So going to page 58. Oh, actually, this is the one I'm going to work with y'all. It's even better. Yeah, you don't have to work by yourselves yet, don't worry. So let's go ahead and check this. All right, let's look at what's going on here. We just saw in our notes before the same exact notation here. They're giving us f of x right up here. Here's the picture. Now, the entire point of this lesson is to understand that if you have the picture, you don't need to worry about actual notation and points and things like that. You can use this graph and understand what to do next. So, what was my rules working with this one?
You have to balance.
That's right. All my negative y values, so this down here, all my negative y values, I have to bounce, i.e. reflect over, and then get rid of it, erase it. So the order is bounce, erase. That's it. Bounce, erase. So let's look at that. This right here, is this a positive y value? Yes. Is this a positive y value?
Yes.
Cool. Is this?
No.
No. So what's going to have to happen with that? Bounce and erase. So what is this going to look like? Well, I could draw for y'all.
W. I did it.
Yeah, let me see it. Basically, yes. There you go. Okay. So that's not that big of a deal, is it? Same down here. What's going to happen down here? Is that a negative y? Is that a negative y value? Yes. Okay, cool. So that's it. Everything below here, we're going to look at it, bounce it up, and then erase. So let's go ahead and do that. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Give me a second. If I draw this horribly, I'm going to show it up to y'all on the graph. So let's keep everything that we already need, we know. So I'm going to keep the good stuff, right? We want that one, and we want this stuff. That's the good stuff. Y'all see why I'm keeping that?
Yeah.
Because that's already above. Now let's fill it in. Now I got to fill in the stuff that's reflected up. So here we go. Boom. That's one of them. Not exactly the best drawing, but you get the point. Now what's going to happen with this one? Same thing. Yeah. Plug it up. Any questions on this one? So whenever I'm going to do these answers and take them from you, a lot of y'all probably draw just as poorly as I do. That's perfectly fine. There'll be certain key things I'm looking for. For instance, right here, when this line comes down, it doesn't bounce around in a nice little curve. It reflects straight up. See those corners right there? I'm going to look for things like that. If you accidentally cross lines here and there with asymptotes, whatever else, that's fine. But there's just certain key points to notice. So if you have no questions on that, which so far every other class has had a question at this point, but if not, then I'm going to go ahead and move on. Are y'all sure? I know we're getting recorded in here. So let me see it. Shake your heads. All right. Y'all good? You good? Okay.
You're looking at the camera.
She's like, so, okay. So let's go ahead. All right. Are you ready? Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what was our rules with dealing with this one?
Erase and then bounce.
Erase what?
Negative.
Erase the negative x values. So let's erase all those negative x values. So let's do that. I'm going to erase it. I'm going to get rid of all that stuff. I don't want to look at that anymore. So now what I'm left with is this. I'm left with this right here. Right? I'm going to keep this. So let's start with that. So I'm going to start with that picture. I got it. So I erased it, but now what do I have to do? Bounce this entire one that I have left over, bounce it over the y-axis. That's it. That's the gist of this lesson. And if you can keep up with it so far, good for you. You're in for a good day today. So make sure y'all copy this down, and then what I want to do next is I'm going to have y'all work on your own, and I'm going to make sure, I'm going to walk around, make sure that y'all know what you're doing. So, pencils in hand, Get your calculators ready, even though technically you don't need your calculators on this. Make sure you're ready. Can I scroll up?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So this is it. Doc should only take about a couple of minutes, so I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to work on this. I'm going to walk around. If you have questions, feel free to raise your hand if I'm not noticing you. All right?
Okay.
Perfect. So. So that's the only tricky part. This is like, you have this one, it was first bounce, and then this. And this one is erase all that stuff first, and then bounce. Right? So you want to keep this. So keep that picture. Do this. For the same thing. Now what's the next step? Bounce what you have, right? Got it? Ish. You're probably like, why do I do that? So check it out. That is really close. That's the general idea. But right here, what do you notice? Mm-hmm. Got it? Okay. Reverse. And then also pay attention to the axis. Yeah, you see how you're sitting across? Okay. Right. Getting the general idea. So you keep it, the best way to do it is just like this side. This one right. Get to the axis. This is where I'll set. And then after you bounce it, you right. Oh, that's great. That's right. I mean, it's not a little wonky, right? But my tries are wonky too. Yes. So what's the rule? So right, so but we're on the freeway. Erase. This is bounce erase. This is left erase here. So what you do is you look at what you want to keep. You want to keep that, and you want to keep that, right? You draw that in. Now we're going to go. Now you have this, bounce. Yeah. That little piece, just that piece. So that whole piece looks like. Yes, you need to keep it. Because you erase first on this one. You erase this one. Sorry, you erase this one. Keep it. Come on. This stuff here, and then you bounce over. This is the trick. This is the one that everyone's talking about. That's why we erase first, and then get it with this. Okay, cool. Okay, what's up? See it? So, yeah, you did. That's right. I got that. But this one's close, right? So what's the first thing you're doing here? This one's what? Bounce. This one's what? Erase. Right, so we keep this side. We're not, we keep this side, this one, and we bounce it. So this, get rid of that. Makes sense. Cool. Did y'all get this? Did y'all follow it? This one, right? But not this one. Remember, you erase the X. We balance it. So start by drawing this up here. Just that. Now let's over. see it on the board. If you don't get it yet, it's okay. You'll have quite a few practice
I
problems.
think the gap is that they don't know how to do the math test. They don't know how to plug it in like the values to get like a Y value.
Right now, though, like as far as the pictures. Yeah. Okay, then I'll put that up there. But I think it's easier to see it like graphically wise. But if not, then okay. So here we go. All right. So some of y'all got this. Some of y'all are having struggles with it. Right now, I was focusing on the graphics part of it because I think seeing the graphics part is at least easier to get conceptually first and a little bit mechanically wise first. But they want to know number tests. Okay. So let's look at this. First, let's go ahead and continue on with what I was just doing. Right here. What's the rule whenever we have this absolute value on this function? Tell it. What is it? Bounce what?
Bounce over negative y.
Bounce all these values over up to this way, and then you erase it. So I'm going to be keeping this part right up here. This is my one I'm keeping. Right? What do I do with this? Bounce it. So when I bounce it, it's going to end up looking something like this. And what do I do with this part of it? Erase it. So I'm ending with something like that. Most of y'all got this one, but this is the one that y'all got stuck on. So what was the rules for this one? Erase what? So this is what I'm starting with, right? Once I erase it, that's what I have left. Do y'all see that?
Yeah.
So then copy what you have left. And this is where people get a little confused right here. Copy what you have left, including this little piece right there. You have that little piece left over right there. Now that you've done this, you've erased it. What's the next step? Bounce it. So now, there you go. So that's graphically how we do it. And the next problems, I'll show you numerically what's going on.
So that one you erase first, right?
Yes.
And then you bounce it?
Yes. Yeah. So what's going on in this? One of the questions I got in my other classes is, how do we end up with negative x's? How do we end up with that, right? If it's absolute value. So let me ask you this. If I plugged in a point right here, this is, let's give this point 1, 2, 3, under 3, 1, right there. So we've got the point 3, 1, right? What happens when I plug in 3, 1 into this function? I get it right here. But what happens when I do like this? If I have this function right here, right? I'm using this one right here. If I plug in negative 3, what ends up happening to my negative 3? That's right. My negative 3 ends up becoming positive. So, hold on, I'm writing this wrong. So if I put in my negative 3 right here, I'm going to put in my negative 3 here. What I'm actually getting in response is what I get from my positive 3 value. So here's my negative 3 I'm shoving in, but we applied the absolute value thing, which what? Makes it 3. And what's our point connected to that? 1. So now look what happens. Now I'm going to go over here. 1, 2, 3. Y negative 3? That's what I plugged into the function. And then I'm going to go up and draw my point. That's why it reflects over like that. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what happens. So this is 3, 1. And if you plug it in negative 3, what happens to the negative 3? And what do we know about 3, 1? And that's where you get this reflection over here. This is a negative 3. However, it evaluates and maps to the same Y answer. So that's what's happening to every single one of these right here. So let's go to this point. Let's pick that one. What is this point? 2, 1, 2, 3. Is that right? Okay, so if I have 2, 3, and that's my point right here, what happens with this function if I plug in negative 2? Right, it's going to end up being positive 2, which gives me what? Negative 3? 3, same one. So, now what's my point? Negative 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And you can see how it's reflecting itself. Y'all see that? So that's where the numbers are coming from. There's The reason why in this one we do, what's it called? Erase or bounce first and then erase. And this one is erase and then bounce. Has to do with order of operations, and I will show you that in the next examples. Do y'all have this written down? Are there any questions before I go on? Okay. I probably do have questions, but we have plenty of time to figure them out when we're doing the next one. Okay, so go ahead and scroll to page 59. All right. So this is, again, you're going to start working on your own. I'm going to put the parent function on the board. Y'all ready? So are y'all all on page 50, what is that, 59?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I don't want to use that one again. I'll use this one. I'm going to put the parent function on there. Y'all ready? It's 1 divided by x minus 3 plus 5. You can also use your graphing calculator, so you can get practice in this. This is what the original parent function looks like, right here. So what do we do with that when we're doing the rest of the work? Work with each other, work by yourselves, work amongst yourselves, I mean. And I'm going to walk around and help you with that. So if you don't want to graph the actual parent function, this is what it looks like. This is what it starts with. I'd recommend writing it down in your notes. Right there. And then following the same steps that we used to transform it. It does not have to be perfect, no. You have to get certain key things right, like how it bounces, what it looks like when it does. Awesome. It's the only one that's over here.
So this one you could do the track.
These are all values. See no fees. We can't have it go down. It's going to end up bouncing weirdly. You see that?
And so if you can try like this, you can change it.
So, all right. This one. This one right here. Just bounce right. Yeah. You grab it. Yeah, see what I'm saying? Yes. So this one is almost running. But it's going to be set. Awesome. That's exactly right. Okay. Close. So what's equal to so what you wrote bouncing? Yeah, you are. Let's see what happens here. Is this a negative or not? Right here. Yeah, so what is happening is it comes down, stops, and it goes back up. See how those right there? That's the weird tricky part. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's right. Awesome. Okay. So, what do you write? That's exactly right, yeah. Cool. Did you do this or did you just say, oh, yes? That's perfect. This is the truth. Yeah, this is the parent function. So what's the last one? That's right. So what are we bouncing? We're bouncing to this side. Or just the end of the other. Remember, this side. So you got this one perfectly. You erase that side, and then you bounce over that way. Well, you erase the X to the left side, right? And then you bounce it over. Which one did this one? This one you got right. This is the correct one. Okay, now we're starting over. Now to the problem. Now we're going back to this. So what's the rules for this one? Tell me the rules for this one. No, this one. What's the rules for this one? Erase what? Show me what you're erasing. Okay, so you're erasing that. What are we bouncing over? We're bouncing over an X or Y. This, you bounce over the X. That's right, you can do that. You erased it, I put it close. I really erased it, and now we're right. But what do you bounce? You bounce whatever's left over. You bounce that way. So when you're done, just watch your close. So when I erase the other side, I'm like this, you agree with that? Right. Now what's my next step? I erase this part of it. Bounce over where? So what does that look like? Now what does that look like? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, I'm coming. That's, yeah. But yes, that's not bad. This goes down. Check. Close. Erase this. You got this reflection. Okay, cool. Okay. And you're missing one thing. You erase. You start back. You bounce from this one. So, you erase that side, right? And you start. You start. That's what you start with. Now what are you bouncing over? See what happens? This one is bounce. X. This one. Got it? Okay, cool. Close. Check it out. Can I show you? So you erase. This one stays. Big deal, right? Now check this out. What am I going to do? I'm going to reflect the movie. So watch my face. These are all good numbers. Weird, huh? Okay. All right. Yeah, so you erase the left side and you bounce it over from the original graph. Yeah, I'm going to shut down. Okay, y'all. So some of y'all are getting this all the way, some of y'all are getting this partial way, some of y'all are still a little lost. So let's look at this. So this is the original parent function, correct?
Yeah.
Everybody see that? Okay, so if I'm going to get the absolute value of the entire function, what's the rules I'm going to be following? Bounce what?
Bound. X.
Everything below here, I bounce up, correct? And then after I do that, what happens?
You erase.
Okay, so are all these positive y values? Can I keep all this?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just going to be changing this. So here I am, positive, following along. I hit it. What happens to this thing? It bounces. So look at this weird shape it's going to make. Yeah. Like that. And this shape is now gone. Most of y'all got that?
Yeah.
Y'all, if you haven't, copy it down so you at least have it in your notes. Does anyone have any questions on this specifically?
No.
So yes.
Could you plug it in so we can see it?
Oh, you want to see the actual picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the actual picture. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
That's the actual picture. Do y'all see it? What happened to it? Before, I'm going to flip back. You ready? I'm going to flip back. This is what we started with. This is where it went to.
Oh, that's
Cool, huh?
So it went down and then like came back.
Right, because all that's happening is all the y values now are going to be end up bouncing up and becoming positive. So instead of this going down, it's just turn around. Okay, make sure y'all have this written down in your notes. Let's go back to the parent function. So the parent function that we're going to be doing, now we're looking for this. So what's the rule for this one?
Erase. Bounces.
So how does it start? Give me the rule. You simplify it. Who said it?
Erase and then.
Bounce. Erase what?
Negative.
All the negative x values. Get rid of this. Stop looking at this side. And whatever's left over, you bounce it. So, okay. So this is what we should end up with, right? So I'm going to bounce this. This is gone. We're not looking at this. And then I should end up with something that does whatever, right? Y'all want to see the actual picture?
Yeah.
Is that my drawings of it? Yeah, I don't blame you. That's what you get. I'm going to switch it back and forth. Are y'all ready? So follow it. So here's what we start with. And then we're going to erase everything on this side. And we're going to take whatever's left over and flip it over. Y'all following? One more time. See it? Okay. So like I said, this stuff should be what time are we getting at?
In a minute.
Oh, great. That's great. This stuff is tricky. Problem set 6. Work on it. I'm taking it up tomorrow. If you have any issues with this, I am in tutorials before and after school. So... No, I don't want to get Bye, y'all.
Thank you. It was with my Oh, there's was it hard? Was it hard?
Nah, it's not that hard.
Wow!
It was.
Wait, let's step 1 second, guys. Oh, let's 1 second. Okay, thank you. Alright, big class. Stand aside first, you're gonna throw.
Well, you're. No, you're in the right place.
Don't be that guy, Chris. All right, Connor.
Okay, what guy?
You know very well.
No, I don't. I actually don't.